welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy that you are here. It is the Sharpe Club, a little bit past 9 p.m. on the East Coast on Monday night, which means I have a bunch of people for you to talk to. You're like, wait a minute, Larry, you have lots of people? I do. I have a bunch of them. We're going to talk about what I think is very interesting. I think if you look at what's happening in our world today, we are often fighting over cultural issues, not over real issues. But that's okay. Culture war does matter. The question is, can we compromise on the culture war or not? That's a question. And I think a lot of us are concerned. And I'm bringing in my star-studded panel. If I can, at least maybe they're stars. I'm going to call them stars, whether they are or not. Political consultant and activist David Fite. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And also another activist we have. This is going to be great. Pepper, is it pronounced Oceanna?
Yes.
Oceanna, look at me doing good right now. And then the most special, how do I know? It's in her name. It's Christian Special K. How are you? Did I get her? I may not have gotten her. Maybe. Kristen's having technical problems. Let's hope she can chime in when she possibly can.
How are you?
Oh, there we go. Okay, we can hear her. Good. All righty. It's great. Kristen, if you want to.
Can you hear me?
Phone, if you want to, if that's better. Phone or
I'm
computer.
having,
both work well for
yes.
this.
I'm having technical difficulties.
Yes. All right. So I want to bring up, I think one of the biggest things that's happening right now is the Twitter CEO.
I switched to my phone.
Oh, is your phone on now? Hold on,
I'm
see if we
still
can get
having
you.
problems.
Not working well today. We're having tech issues. Sorry, guys. Let's keep going. Kristen, as you can come on in, just come on in as you can. I wanted to bring up the idea of the Twitter CEO, the new CEO, that I think people are.
I'm here.
They're not looking at the new CEO as whether she is competent or not. That's like not the issue they're concerned about. They're concerned about whether she is, I guess, establishment or not, or government or not. She may be very talented, but no one seems to care if she's talented. That doesn't seem to be the issue. I know, David, you have to have an opinion on this.
I'm still personally trying to reserve judgment. Like, I want to see what she actually does in the job.
Okay, look at you.
I do think that there's a logical argument to be made that she has a lot of ties with groups that most of our friends dislike. But there's also a fairly logical argument to the fact that those groups are some of the most powerful groups in the country, and her allegiance might be more to her career than to those groups. And I feel like there's a lot of people that kind of get caught up in the rise to the top in like some of the worst bureaucratic organizations possible. And if they're given an out, like working for Elon Musk at Twitter can seem to people, they might take that and then show a little bit of a different side of them. So that's kind of, fingers crossed that's
Look
the
how
world
good
we're
you're
living
being,
in.
David. I like it. You're being good. Pepper, are you going to be as good or no?
Well, I mean, depending on which groups she has an allegiance with, I would have a concern. I'm not actually, I don't know a lot about her, just that she's a woman.
Yep.
I guess I'd have to find out which groups that she has allegiance with.
The thing I'm worried about here, to be forward with you, is she's as establishment as they come. I mean, she is literally, and Elon supposedly, what he told us was he wasn't going to be establishment, right? That's what he told us. He told us he wasn't going to be establishment. He told us, you don't have to hide your smoking, Dave. It's okay. You could smoke. It's fine. You can hide it. No big deal.
Right.
We're libertarians here. You can toke up all you want. No worries. So yes. But she supposedly is the most establishment person there is, right? She $10 billion every year, 2,000 person sales team. I mean, that's establishment. Now she's coming over to Twitter. Her sales team is larger than the entire Twitter, all the employees in Twitter. So she's going to come. Here's what I think, and I'm going to be cynical on this. Yeah. I think Elon hired her to come over to get the advertisers back. She will start to pump up everything because she's about growing. She is heavily about growing. She fattens up places. She fattens them up big. She puts a lot of people in. She cares heavily about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a big deal for her. And Elon doesn't care about that at all. So it's a completely different mix there. But I think he wants her to fatten up a bit. And then within 2 years, fires her. Tries to keep the best talent, tries to keep the best advertisers, gets rid of her, recuts. That's my gut. That's what I think Elon will do. Why do I think that? In New York State, when he was in my glorious state, we gave him tons of tax breaks and everything cool to come build solar plants. He took all of that. Second the tax break stopped, he quit, walked away. You remember that, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my piece. I mean, am I wrong?
I can definitely see it going that way. She definitely checks pretty much every box he doesn't in the eyes
Correct,
of the
yes.
people that dislike him. So and on that grounds, it's a very smart move. I agree
absolutely.
that, I don't know what he'll do with it in the long run. But yeah, that sounds more like him, considering how we've seen him play business politics in the past.
Absolutely. I think so. Pepper, any change or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said was spot on, especially the fact that her being establishment is like a really huge problem. Like, we don't need any more of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get Krista back in, see if she's with us again. Is she? We'll see if you got her. Oh, we lost her. Internet, what are you gonna do? It happens sometimes. Yeah. So look, I think that the part that has got me a little bit worried about this is my point earlier. Most people like you, Pepper, you don't even know her background.
No.
Most people don't. And that's a problem. Like, you're supposed to judge her if she's competent or not. We're supposed to, but I feel like we didn't. We just went, what? And then there's also Elon stands. People who just love Elon and like anything Elon does, he's awesome. And the reverse, people who just hate him, right? They just hate him. And they're like, you know what? As long as he's gone, I'm happy. And I think those are two things that, kind of bother me. But hold on, I'm going to grab a couple comments though. Hold on here if I can. She was hired for being a DEI hire and deeply connected to progressive establishment policy. She was also a member of the WEF. That's also true. Both of those are true. And this is Michael Voss, by the way, bringing this up. I think they're both accurate. But doesn't that maybe, okay, let me walk down a conspiracy hole. David, you'll like this. Walk down a conspiracy hole. What if he's doing it? And what if, Michael Voss is correct in what he's saying. This is who says this. He's correct. What if he's doing it so those people will walk away from him, leave him alone? Like, look, I hired your girl. You know what? Leave me alone. Yeah. You got a mole in my company now. So just walk away, go beat somebody else up, leave me alone. Am I got too much in my hat on right now? My tinfoil hat?
No, I think that actually makes a lot of sense. It seems like it's something Elon would do.
There we go. I absolutely, yes, that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. Maybe I'm nuts.
Yeah. But I think you bring up a really important point, though, that as soon as she got hired, it instantly became what's the most important tie that she has, like the highest name recognition allegiance that she had. There are plenty of companies and organizations that she's been much more affiliated with than the WEF, but that's one of the only ones that I know because it's one of the like most attention grabbing words. It was instantly about that, and then the battle lines were drawn, and then there were people that liked her and people that didn't, and like she wasn't even official, like she hasn't even taken over the job yet, and everybody has decided that they do or don't like her. And I think people on both sides of that are silly, because she could be terrible or she could be great, and we have no idea.
That's true. You're absolutely right. It's totally true. So I guess you have a friend here, Pepper. Patty says, hi, Pepper, my friend since 2016. So happy to see you here with the one and only Larry Sharpe. Love and light, my sister friend. Look at that. You have a friend here. Isn't that awesome?
Trisha, yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. So I want to kind of shift, if I could, into something that's on Twitter. I saw this on Twitter. So I guess we're kind of in the same world. The new beer commercial for Miller Lite. I don't know if you guys saw that, right? Remember Dylan and with the Bud Light, right? We had the Dylan cans with Bud Light, and the world was ending because of the Bud Light cans. And then we got Miller Lite, and Miller Lite's like, oh, women are always making beer, and so you now have to not objectify women anymore because we're the beer makers. They made this new thing. Doesn't that just make Look, I'm not a woman, but I feel like if I was a woman, I'd be pissed off either way. Like, you're just exploiting us. That's how I would feel. I don't think does Bud Light or Miller Lite really care about any women's issues? I mean, maybe some people in the company do. Perhaps. I don't know that for sure. But as a company, do they really care?
Yeah, I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it.
Yes.
I mean, how many women actually drink beer? I mean, I don't know. I do sometimes.
No, I think women drink beer. I mean, not as much as men, obviously, but I think women drink beer. I think they do, particularly the light beers. I think it's not as most women that I know who drink beer, and I don't know that many, but those that I do tend to drink lighter beers like Corona and Light, Coors Light, those types. Most aren't drinking Guinness, right? Just most women I know aren't drinking heavy beers. Now, maybe that's cultural. I don't know, but most women I know do not drink heavy beers. They drink light beers, or they drink like the sweet drinks, the wine coolers and spritzes and things of that sort. That's what I know. The women that I know who drink. Then again, I'm a bit older, so I don't know what the youngsters are drinking now. I don't know. I don't hang out with 20-somethings drinking beer. I don't know.
I drink Heinekens when I drink beer, or Coronas with lime.
Good choice.
Oh, look at that. All right.
I'm also a Heineken fan.
Yeah, I like Heineken.
You got the seal of approval from David. Nicely done.
I do find it very interesting, specifically on the Budweiser side. I might not be correct on this, but I'm fairly certain that like Bud Light did the Dylan Mulvaney thing, and then when they tried to save face and put out that extremely cringy, super patriotic ad that they did like a week later, that was Budweiser. So to your point about like most women will drink the lighter beers, most of these things are all coming out from those kind of lighter beer companies, and they're still maintaining their other brand of like the Clydesdales for Budweiser are still, their thing. I'll personally say the Miller Lite commercial didn't like upset me at all. There was like that first 3 seconds where she's like, about that like women have made beer for a long time, which is historically accurate, and then the thing about like objectifying women for a long time, which is also accurate and like not the greatest thing. But the rest of the commercial, I was like, this is actually kind of a neat thing, the whole like actually shredding all of the terrible like objectification stuff and turning it into compost that they're using to make more beer. I'm like, sure. Like, I don't know, it seems like a fairly harmless marketing scheme that like actually helps the planet, helps people get a bunch of junk out of their house, helps them make some extra sales, and helps make more beer, which is a good thing. So I don't mind.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, look, I wasn't mad at either of them, to tell you the truth. I didn't care if they put Dylan on the beer. I didn't care at all. Didn't make me mad. Didn't make me happy. I didn't care at all. I don't drink beer. I didn't care. If you can sell more beer, good for you. If you don't, bad for you, I guess. I didn't care either way. I don't care about this one either. But I just thought, in my mind, I thought Bud Light did something silly in my view. I feel like they didn't think it through at all. That's what I think. Where Miller Lite, I thought this was brilliant. I thought they thought it right through. Like, whether you like either campaign, I'm talking just for the capitalist in me, the first one I don't think was thought through at all. But the second one absolutely was. But here's the problem. The Bud Light thing, it drives me crazy. And this is it makes me feel almost like they are purposely trying to make us fight over stuff that doesn't matter. Like, it does. If more people buy Bud Light or not, who the hell really cares in our country? All the crap we got going on, all the problems we have going on across the world. Why the hell are we fighting over Bud Light? Right? That is the part that has always made me upset, and why I get mad in the culture war. I'm going to say it's culture war bullshit. I mean, maybe you love Dylan and you think he should be on everything. Okay. Maybe you hate him and think, hate her. Sorry. Maybe you hate her and you want her to be on nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't make our state any better, or our country any better, or our towns or schools any better. Does it do anything? I don't know. Did you care about this? Where was your head on this one? I ignored it.
I ignored it too, but I was annoyed by them making especially the conservative side, making such a huge deal about it. Like, I have no tolerance for transphobia, like none, and, when I see
transphobia, hold on that. I'm going to walk down this road. You brought up a thing. Is it transphobia for me, and this is not me, I'm saying me theoretically, right? For me to like my beer to be the way I like my beer when I was growing up, and that's what I like, and you changed my beer and I'm mad. Is that necessarily transphobia, or is it just me being a grouchy old man saying, get off my lawn?
Can I take that one?
I like that, David. Jump on it.
Because I think that's not transphobia, but there was a lot of transphobia in the comments on Twitter. Like there were definitely people who were objecting to it for reasons that are not actual bigotry, just like kind of dumb conservative, like. But then there were definitely a lot of bigoted comments going on online that do cross that line.
And that was my point, right? I felt like the right made a big deal of it, and the left just said everything is transphobia. And I think there were some people just like, no, it's my beer. Like, and I bring this up in it's a silly way, but I hope you'll get the idea. I like the old Star Trek, right? I like the old Star Trek. So when they make a new Star Trek, I judge it based upon the old Star Trek, because that's the one I like. And if they don't do it good enough to my specifications of what I think it should be like to respect the old Star Trek, I get upset. Now, someone who just watches the new Star Trek doesn't care about me and my old Star Trek. They don't care. They think I'm a dumb old guy who cares about some 1960s, 1970s TV show. Who cares? But to me, I'm not mad about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad about the beer itself. I'm upset by the comments, the making it about her being a trans woman. That's what I don't like. You know, like, it shouldn't matter who endorses a commercial, who participates in a commercial, who, people shouldn't make such a huge deal about that. And there's so much going on against trans rights right now that it's just, we don't need anything to add to that.
But do we, I guess, are we making things worse, right? By caring about it at all?
No, I think it needs to be cared about. I think
how come? Tell me.
Because if we don't stand up for every trans person, we're enabling things not to work for them. And so we need to make sure that
we don't stand up for every trans person. What if Dylan's a bad person? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if Dylan's a bad person.
On her character and not have it be about her being trans.
I think there was some of that.
People made it about her being trans.
Pepper, I want to be fair. There was some of that. There were some people who thought that she was just being a grifter, right? There were some people who thought that she's pretending just so she can be a grifter and make cash. And then there were some people who believed that was true. Again, I have no insight. I don't know if it's true or not. It could be completely true. She could be a terrible grifter and maybe not. I don't know. All I'm saying is I think there were people saying that too. Do you think that was transphobia? Or do you think people honestly believe that?
I'm going to take the hard one on this. I'm going to say, yeah, I do. Because if she was not a trans woman, nobody would be calling her a grifter for being on a commercial and making money for it. Nobody calls somebody a grifter for choosing to be in a commercial and make money for being in the commercial. But then as soon as they're a trans woman, they do. So that's a problem.
I will say I've been called a grifter for a lot less.
That's what I'm saying. I've been called a grifter too. So I'm not trans anything. So
a lot of athletes have also gotten attacked for, oh, your career isn't doing well enough, so you have to go make State Farm commercials. Cough, cough, Aaron Rodgers. So I think that I agree with you that there wouldn't have been nearly the outrage as there is.
I think that's true.
But I think that just the way that she presents herself is just not one that a lot of people can connect with. Even like most of my female friends, even my extremely progressive female friends, are all like, I just don't like her. Like, it's just it.
I hear that too. I do. I hear people say, and I live in New York City, Pepper. So like I live in a very progressive place. And
I hear
people. Oh, I didn't know that. There we go. Awesome. Yes. So I do hear people say that she comes across insincere. I do hear that often. Not those words. They're often meaner. But I think what they're trying to say is that she's insincere. that she's using this or not real or that kind of. I hear that, but I don't hear that about other people. In fact, I don't know if you know my background, but I have in every campaign I've run, I've had at least one trans person, if not more, on my team, and I have trans people on my show all the time.
Yeah,
and no one's ever said, "Well, that person doesn't seem trans," or "That person is that." Dylan, I think, is special. I think she's special. I think she's hit a nerve somewhere out there, and I don't know why.
I think I don't buy that. I mean, I think that I don't see why she wouldn't be sincere. And so, I just don't feel right about it at all. I just don't feel right about how she was attacked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think there's another angle on like the kind of Bud Light's mindset behind it. I don't know if either of you have watched the show Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Yes.
But they do.
I haven't.
They do a very, very good job of illustrating this scenario with the Redskins, whatever, the Washington Redskins.
Yes.
One of the main characters marries into the family that owns the Washington Redskins, and that she's trying to get them to change the name throughout like 2 seasons long of this show. And the culmination of this in this kind of like bizarro world that the show is based in is that other teams change their names to more offensive things because they realize that it sells more jerseys if people get to burn them on social media and all of these other things, and that it's actually profitable for their names to be offensive because it was working so well for the Redskins. And like she feels like she won because the name isn't offensive to her people anymore because she's Native American, and she just convinced them to make it more offensive so that they can sell more merch. And so she gets her win and they get their win, and it just illustrates it very, very well. And I feel like a lot of companies have bought into that because if you look at like Nike or some of these other companies, they're double dipping because you get all of the left buying your stuff and you get all of the right burning your stuff. And then especially in the case of like Bud Light, everybody's like throwing away and dumping their Bud Light to go buy a Modelo instead. It's the same company. They're still getting double that money because Anheuser-Busch owns like 2/3 of the beer that gets sold in America. They're getting all of this money still, and people are just wasting money off of the outrage. So I think in the end, it could have just been a purely money maneuver like that, where they were just like, if we become the most talked about brand for this week, we'll get double dipping in sales from all of our conservatives. We'll get progressives that have never bought Bud Light ever going out and buying it.
I so hope you're wrong, David. I hope but you might be right. But God, I hope they were not. They're like,
Wow.
If we make more people angry about trans people, we'll make more money. Let's do that. I hope that's not true. But you know what? I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't. Michael says we need to fight over beer so we don't discuss CBDCs, global war, or any number of actual issues.
Right.
This is what absolutely drives me nuts.
Right. That I agree with.
Yes, he is 100% correct. We aren't talking about things that are important because we're so busy, pissed off. And I'm going to shift this into something else, which is recent. And this is Trump being on CNN. Why do I do this? Because so many people didn't pay any attention to what Trump actually said. Because they were so mad that either he was on at all, or they loved that he was on and they were mad at CNN. So like, no matter what, no one was what he said. There were actually things that he actually said that mattered. He's running for president. He might be the next president again. And he was saying things that actually mattered. I don't think most people even know what he said. They were so busy yelling. They were busy getting mad.
I've heard one answer, his answer about the Ukraine war. I've seen a couple of people post it. I watched the video once. I've seen that like 5-minute clip. That's it. And I have absolutely no interest in really hearing any of the other stuff. Just too many people that I follow posted that one clip that I finally was like, all right, he must have said something worth hearing.
Yeah. For me, I don't like CNN anyway. I don't really watch it anyway.
Clearly, no one else does either, Pepper. I mean, you've seen their ratings. You're not alone.
Exactly. So I didn't care that he was on CNN, like whether he's on CNN or Fox or MSNBC, it doesn't matter to me. But what I do have to say this is they should give every candidate a fair shot. Like, why aren't they bringing other
Yes.
candidates on? Why is it CNN had Robert Kennedy on or Marianne Williamson on or,
100%.
Anybody else running for president? Like if they're going to give the Trump a chance to have a town hall, why aren't they giving everybody else a chance to have a town hall?
No, I'm aboard. I completely agree with that, totally. But look, I didn't vote for Trump, right? Either time. I voted for Libertarian candidate both times. I still wish Gary Johnson was president, right? I don't get what I want, right? So I'm aware I don't get what I want either way. So no matter what, I don't get what I want. But my point is, I still think he should have been able to go on TV and say his stuff.
Yeah.
And what made me angry about this is, I remember at one point, Caitlin, I forgot her last name. The person who interviewed the person who interviewed him, said something like, I can't tell you, I can't let you say that. I can't let you, when he was talking about the rigged elections and such. She's like, I can't let you say that. That got me so angry. I thought to myself, who the hell are you to tell anybody what they can't say? Right? You don't get to say that. You don't get to say you can't say that. No. The guy's running for president. He gets to say what he wants to say. You can disagree with it. You can say he's wrong. You can fact check him, but you can't say you can't. Of course, he can say whatever he wants. Anyone can. I can say I should be president. I mean, it's not true. I didn't win, but I'm just saying I could say that. The point is, anybody who's had to have tough interviews should know you just walk them down a road and let them say what they're going to say, clarify what they mean. So what she should have said is, okay, so what you're saying is all these people, she listed all her people, all these people on the Republican side, Democratic side, say there was no problem with the election, but you still say there is. And he goes, yes. Done. Next question. What are you doing? That's what he's saying. That's his stance. These people say no. I say yes. Done. Now the audience goes, do I believe all those people? Do I believe him? Which one do you believe? Okay. Done. And the other part was the idea that they actually thought that somehow Trump was going to change. You go, you know what, guys? Now that I'm on CNN, I'm so sorry. What was I thinking? Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I was so wrong. They thought that was going to happen. Have they watched him for the past 7 years? Like they thought that was going to happen?
I mean, he does switch his stances on things pretty quickly. You'd never know.
Yes. But look, you can love Trump or hate Trump. One thing he does show always is strength and power, and he doubles down on everything. He doubles down on everything. It doesn't matter what it is, he doubles down on it, right? So why would you think he wouldn't do it on this?
Yeah. Sorry, Pepper, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I feel like the real takeaway that people should have from that is if you are one of the like right-leaning anti-establishment people that thinks for some reason still that Trump is one of you, they don't platform us on CNN. It doesn't happen. One of you will never make it onto CNN. He is on CNN because he's one of them. And he will always be. Like they platformed him last time. They are platforming him again this time. They don't want, like, I don't like any of the people that are running against him in the Republican Party necessarily, but they don't want a Vivek Ramaswamy. They don't want somebody like that in the White House. They want Trump back.
They're establishment themselves. CNN is an establishment themselves.
Yeah,
100%.
So is MSNBC. So
100%.
But the thing I do want to say is Trump will say what he says, but he's also a liar.
Oh yeah.
He lies out of his mouth, especially when he's running for office, because he went to East Palestine. And handed out some water, bottled water, and stayed like 5 minutes. Well, no, actually he did buy
he bought a bunch of people McDonald's. Don't you remember that?
He bought a bunch of people McDonald's.
He did. That's true. Yeah. He did. Yep.
Yeah, and then he left. And
but hold on, Pepper. This is important. This is exactly what Dave is talking about.
Yeah.
People see themselves as Trump. They see Trump as one of them. And when that guy goes to McDonald's and knows the menu better than them, they're like, This guy's one of us, even though he's a billionaire. And,
Yeah, his people definitely do see him as one of them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
When I go upstate New York and I travel, there are certain parts of New York State I go to, particularly rural areas, where there will literally be barn after barn after barn painted Trump 24 as big as the barn. Multiple barns in a row painted.
He's talking about my county.
There we go. Yes. You see it. Yes. It's
New York?
all over.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I'm on Long Island, so we have it here too.
Yeah. Oh, no, there are Trump supporters in Long Island too. Yes. But not to the level they're on upstate New York. Rural areas really love Trump. They see themselves in him. They believe him. And it doesn't matter look, to be forward, all politicians lie. And that makes people upset because people like their politician. They think their politician doesn't lie. No, their politician lies also. But anyway, the point is, it doesn't matter. The reality of it is, you always believe your politician. Otherwise, you're not going to vote for him. You love your politician is the right one. All the rest of them are bad, right?
Are you saying that you're a liar, Larry Sharpe?
Maybe. Until I'm elected, then I'll be a liar, right? You got to get elected first. Then I'll be the liar. Yes.
Larry,
exactly.
I want to go back to what you were saying when your libertarian candidate should have been included in these town halls and stuff. Like, I agree with that. Like, I voted for Green Party in 2016 for Jill Stein, and you know, she didn't get any attention, and she should have been able to get more. And there shouldn't be that rule that you have to get up to 5% to get on the debate stage.
Right.
You know, they should include everyone who's running in whatever party should be included in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you vote for Howie Hawkins in 2020?
No.
You didn't? I like Howie. He's my friend.
I did not. I pinched my nose and I voted for Biden, but I regret that.
You should have voted for Howie.
I regret it. I regret it because I'm in New York and New York was going to win Biden for 100%. Biden no matter what. So there was no reason for me not to. And I get that now. You know, I was just, you know, I had friends who were like, you know, putting pressure on me, but also not even just that. It was just, I was afraid of Trump. And, you know, but now it's like, I'm in New York. It wouldn't have mattered. I wouldn't have even had to tell anybody who I was voting for. I could have still voted for Howie. So,
absolutely.
You know,
yes.
So,
I do like Howie. He's a personal friend of mine.
My vote for Biden, I take it back.
Yes, he's also Marine like I am too. So so Howie and I get along very well. So yes, absolutely.
You said earlier that we could plug things, so I'm going to take an opportunity to shamelessly plug. I'm doing a presidential candidate forum on the 30th that I'm doing my best to include every candidate of every party that wants to come on. So, you know, Marianne, if you're watching, wink, wink, you can come. So far it's 3 libertarians, a Republican, and an independent. And I have reached out to a couple of other independents, hoping to hear back. So I want it to be as wide reaching as possible amongst the people who aren't getting platformed by the mainstream media.
I like that. Very good.
Marianne.
I like that. There we go. So guys, let me do a bit of, if I could, a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of admin here, if I could. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, do me a favor, please click the like button. If you're watching right now, if you're listening right now, click the like button. It's how I get past Mr. Go Rhythm. Algorithm is always trying to stop me. So I got to get past Mr. Go Rhythm. So please click that like button. It does matter. I got Dave laughing, so I'm doing good. There we go. Yes. If you happen to be watching this on Twitter, do me a favor, retweet this now. If you retweet it now, people will see it. Please retweet this right now while doing it. If you want your chat to get to the front, you can always super chat it if you happen to be watching on Larry Sharpe YouTube. If you want to support the show, you can help the Patreon if you'd like to. Patreon.com/Sharpeway. Throw me $10 because you love me and because I'm good looking. Those are 2 good reasons to do so. If you don't have that, no worries. You don't have to spend a dime. You could just click the like button. That's free. You could just retweet it. That's free. You could do those. You don't have to pay me a dime. Isn't that great? Because you love me. I know you do. Also, though, there are some people here who are trying their best to give you some love. So give them some love. Follow them on Twitter. Follow David Fite at David the Fite, Fite. If you're listening, you can also follow Pepper on O Lightworker. O as in the letter O, like light worker. Light is Light worker. And also, sorry we couldn't get Kristen and Sorry, but she is Call Me K1123. So I do want to head back to the Trump thing for a moment. what you talked about, Pepper, is a real thing. And I tease about it all the time, but it's a real thing. I think it's hurting Democrats. Democrats always falling back to, but Trump evil.
Yeah. No,
Constantly
absolutely.
falling back to that and not having good answers for problems, not solving anything. I mean, Republicans don't solve anything either. But
Democrats are spineless. Let's just call it what it is. Democrats are spineless. Biden has accomplished like almost nothing. Like he said he was the FDR candidate. You know, where's our canceled student debt? Where's a livable wage? You
You're
know,
right.
and what's he doing on climate? He's, you know, approving of the Willow Project. You know, and you know, he has a 70% disapproval rating.
Yep.
And that speaks for itself. So, you know, like the Democrats' message being not Trump
Yep.
is the worst message, and it's gonna hurt the Democratic Party in the long run, because you know it's like it could lead to Trump becoming reelected if we're not careful. You know, that's
Well,
why
the other piece though is Republicans are struggling too because they don't know what to do with Trump. They don't know what to do with him. Like they're like, well, he's got good policies, but he doesn't, but he's good, but he's not, but please like me, but don't have Trump be mad at me. Like they don't know what they're doing. The only guy who's doing a good job at right now, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, is Vivek Ramaswamy. That guy is like, he's on everything. And he's like, I'm Trump, but I'm younger and browner. Look at me. That's basically what he is. And I'm telling you, it's the only thing that's working. Every other Republican trying to run against Trump is failing. He's the only one who's got any growth at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I do believe that they're also doing a blackout on the Democratic side on Marianne Williamson and Robert Kennedy, you know, and I think without the blackout, they would be polling much higher and doing much better. I'm a Marianne supporter, so I'll just say that. And you know, I think the blackout is wrong. I think it's messing with our ability to get a real Democrat in office instead of Biden. Have a real challenger to go up against Trump, give us a chance to actually beat Trump, and that's a problem. But yeah, like I said, the Democrats
it falls back to the culture war. Look, what Vivek is doing well, which it's maybe not be a good thing, but it's working. Is he's hardcore culture warrior. He's
my least favorite thing about him.
Yes, exactly. He is hardcore culture warrior, but it's working, right? I mean, look, I'm hopefully going to be voting for whoever our Libertarian candidate is, but it doesn't mean I can't give credit where credit is due. Vivek is doing a good job of being the culture warrior extraordinaire, and it's working, right? It is clearly working. This culture war stuff does make impact when it comes to left versus right.
Yeah. Yeah. He went on Michael Malice's show, I think like 2 weeks ago, and he listed, I think like five top issues or something like that, 4 of which were spot on, loved him 100%. 5th one in my mind is a complete deal breaker, which was labeling the trans community as a mental health crisis, which is just ridiculous. And that's one of your top 5 issues? Like, no, please go away. Like, we don't need more culture war in the White House. We need actual political solutions. So he had me.
So hold on.
So
when it came to mental health, which is a big deal in America, his rule was, let's focus on the trans mental health. That was the issue.
Yeah, not turning the drug war into a mental health crisis. Not
that one. Okay,
that would have been a big
that
W.
Would have been good.
But no,
that's one.
He made a couple of off comments throughout the interview, that were blatantly either homophobic or transphobic, and for the most part, I don't particularly care what your culture war stances are if your political stances are good enough, if you're not going to try to use political force to enforce your cultural stances. Most libertarians and even a decent chunk of the Republicans have kind of come to that understanding. But he made it very clear towards the end of that interview that that's not his stance, that he wants to use political force to enforce.
And this is going to make some Democrats unhappy, but I actually think you're right. I think Republicans are better, still bad, less bad. I won't say better. They're less bad compared to Democrats when it comes to not pushing their personal views in government. They're less bad. Democrats tend to be like, if I believe it's true, it must be law. Republicans are usually that way, but there's a couple of them who go, no, like you'll find pro-life Republicans who are still in all practice pro-choice because they are personally pro-life, but they don't want the government they don't want abortion to be illegal. So I think you do find that more on the Republican side than you find that on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
I don't know, Pepper, you're more Democratic. Am I wrong? You beat me up on that one?
Well, no, I think on some issues, yes, and on some issues, no. It just depends on what the issues are.
I think that it has to do, I think a chunk of it is because the Republicans are losing that war currently and like have been for about 2 decades now. You know, if you go back 50 years, you're clearly wrong if you try to take that stance, right? You know, you have sunset laws and all sorts of either racist or homophobic or sexist law, like actual laws in place to kind of back up this like white nuclear family style, like conservative ideal. But we chipped away at that a lot over the last 30 years or so, to where the left is definitely has the upper hand in the culture war as far as enforcing it by law. And the right is trying to come back, and they're just kind of starting to mount a comeback, and they're not really gaining much success. They're trying to do some stuff with abortion in some states that, you know, is going over terribly. In most of the states
they are not winning that at all.
It's terrible. Most of them overstepped dramatically and are messing it up.
David, you remember I brought this up. I told people, I said when they were trying to overturn Roe v. Wade, I said, that is going to be terrible for you pro-lifers. It's not the right answer. It's not going to work. You're going to fail. And people are like, no, it's awesome. I'm like, no, you're going to the country is going to start seeing pro-life as anti-woman. And if you go back 10, 15 years, they didn't see that because most people believed that Roe v. Wade was the done deal. So they didn't really care about abortion that much before. The average American didn't care about abortion at all. They're like, oh, it's a done deal. Who cares? Doesn't matter. You can be pro-life if you want to. Doesn't matter. Nothing's going to happen. Who cares? Most people didn't care at all. Once they overturned Roe v. Wade, all of a sudden people cared again. They're like, whoa, what happened? Oh my God. I know people that in New York were worried about it. And logically, that's dumb. Logically, that's dumb. New York has codified it. It's fine. Abortion is going nowhere in New York State. So in a logical level, it makes no sense. But emotionally, oh my God, people were like, no. They were fired up. They were literally fired up about it. And I was like, it shouldn't matter. You don't live in Kentucky. What you worried about, right? You live in New York. What are you worried about? But no, they were really worried. I think and that also made me angry too, because it was useless, and we weren't fighting about things that mattered, right? Yeah. People were leaving New York State in droves because they can't afford to live here, because there aren't good jobs for people. The education system's garbage. The system here in New York City is terrible, and we're worried about abortion in New York State where it wasn't even a thing.
I think it made it really rough because I was my wife and I were trying to figure out where to move around the exact time that happened. Like literally, we were having the discussion of like this state versus that state when I opened my phone and saw that Roe v. Wade had been overturned. Like so, in that conversation, and it like instantly eliminated a lot of states in her mind because she's she's fairly apolitical, but that's one of the stances she cares about, and like it, I didn't want to move back to New York because all the reasons you just said, but a lot of the states that I wanted to move to now just became a no-go, like Oklahoma, Texas, Florida. Florida was never really on my list. It's too humid, but a lot of those states just became
I think, yes.
not okay.
I think a lot of people literally thought, oh, I could move to Tennessee. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Wait. Maybe I feel like a lot of people, and I'm not sure Tennessee's unhappy about that before with you. I think Tennessee may be happy those people aren't moving in. They may be like, okay, you're good, stay. Tennessee people may be okay with that. I don't know. I don't live in Tennessee, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee people are like, good, we're happy that you stayed there. We don't want you to come in. I'm going to super chat if I can from the Infinite Zeal Syndicate. 49, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thoroughly enjoying your discussion. We We are on fire. Look at that.
I will say from like a legal standpoint, I do think that Roe v. Wade was a flawed decision. And I
Agreed.
mostly agree with the decision to overturn it. The reasons that they gave for overturning it, I think from a legal standpoint, they had it right. But I also agree with you that it was a terrible decision.
Yes.
Politically,
I think both
it
of
was
those
a
are
bad
true.
move.
But this could have been fixed, to Pepper's point. This
Mhm.
could have been fixed if the Democrats had actually been Democrats and actually codified it.
When
Then
they
the
had
whole
the
thing goes away.
opportunity in Obama's presidency.
That's correct.
That's what I was
The whole
going to
thing
say.
goes
You stole my line, Larry. That's what I was
Yep.
gonna say. They had the opportunity to codify it when Obama was president, and they didn't.
Yes. And if they had codified it, then it goes away. But that's the problem. And this is what I'll keep bringing up. And people think I'm crazy when I say it, but I mean it. They don't want to fix problems because they want us to keep fighting over the same damn problems.
Yes, it's a distraction.
Are you telling me we couldn't have fixed the border? We couldn't have had a plan for our border over the past 50 years. There was no plan possible that could have solved this problem, right? Besides either keep the border open, put kids in cages, or build a wall. That's all we can come up with. Those three, there's nothing else. Totally open border, build a wall, or kids in cages. That's our only three options we have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. Of course, if we actually wanted to solve the problem, we could have solved that problem. We could have codified abortion. We could have taken care of all that stuff. Didn't do any of it.
And that's where I'll give conservatives credit on this issue for a while. Like while they were losing the fight, during that time period after Roe v. Wade was decided, the conservatives did a very good job at fighting for life, right? As they see it, without using government force on anybody. You have organizations like in my county, there's the Pregnancy Care Center that helps mothers who are debating between abortion or not, mostly for financial reasons, helps them through that process, and then helps them after the baby's born, and gets them through.
This is something that people on the left don't see. You are 100% right, David. The right to life side, the pro-life side, has gotten far better than it were in the 70s and 80s. In the 70s, you're basically like, don't kill your baby. Jesus will just make magic stuff happen for your kid. That's where they were. They're not there anymore. You're right. A lot of pro-life organizations have realized they're probably not going to win this battle, and they've got to make it a cultural battle. They've got to actually help women. And I think there are many of them that are doing it much better than they have years past. I completely agree. There are many of them that are far better than they've been. And I thought that was the way, right? I say it the whole time, if you want women, look, I don't like abortion. I want less abortions.
Same.
I do. I want less abortions. But I think you do that, you can make that happen by giving women more options, by giving women more choices, by having a situation where women can have more support and backing. You do that, less women will choose abortion. That's how you end abortion, by women choosing to not have abortions. That's how you end abortion.
Yeah.
And also, Colorado has free birth control, and their abortion rate went down 50%. So you provide free birth control for people, and the abortion rate will go down. So if you want less abortions, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I think
also,
you can do
let's
it.
talk about abstinence-only sex ed that is still mandatory in multiple states. That's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yes.
We're still teaching Gen Z that just just don't do it, and then you won't get pregnant, and that's all they're allowed to teach. You can get fired as a health teacher for saying anything past that, as far as
And
sex
I want to be clear, I'm not against abstinence. I'm against abstinence only.
Right.
If you choose that you don't want to have sex till you're married, I have no problem with that. But that should not be your only option. You should have other options in your life that you make choices with, not just that's the only one. It's crazy. Just
It's insane.
Yes. Let me grab a couple of these if I could. Dave is very clear. He says, Larry, kids are no longer in cages. They're in migrant detention facilities for unaccompanied minors. So way different than cages. Way different. Thank you, Dave. I agree. They're all putting the kids in cages. Trump did it. Obama did it. Biden does it. They all put kids in cages. That's what they do. They put people in cages. They think but they call it something different. You're right. It does sound better when Biden does it. It does. You're right, Dave.
Better when you say migrant detention facilities. Absolutely.
It does. It does sound better. So I guess the Democrats get better rhetoric. We give them that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So Robert says women do have the choice and are even encouraged to get rid of the fathers of their kids. The more choice are, it may not work. You know, this point is a valid point, that our family court system doesn't make it work any better at all. The family court system makes it all worse. It makes everything worse. Once you start putting government into marriage, it just makes stuff worse, because now they fight more, they're angrier, everything gets worse. Robert, I agreed. It's not helping. That's for sure. I don't know. I can complain about family court for hours. I've never been through it. I've heard so many stories about it now. I'll be brief. When I first heard fathers coming to me talking about the problems in family court, I didn't believe them. I didn't want to believe that our court system was that bad. I didn't want to believe them. I thought, nope, I don't want to believe it. It's not true. It can't be true. This guy's probably just a bad guy, or got a raw deal, or he's accepted the rule. That's where my head was. And then I heard the same story from a different guy in a different county next week. The week after, a different guy, different county, same story. Again and again, until all of a sudden, like 6 or 7 times, I'm hearing the same story from different people in different counties. And I'm like, this is real. This is a real issue. And Robert's right. The family court system makes everything worse. It makes the woman feel like she's a fool to not hammer the man to death. And when I say to death, I do mean that, because a lot of these men are committing suicide. They literally hammer the man to death. It is horrible. Sorry, I went off of my thing. It's your fault, Robert. You shouldn't have said that's your fault. But yes, Patricia said the same thing. Family court system's horrible, especially in Oswego County. Yes, it is. It is everywhere. It is terrible. The family court system is a disaster. It is. We should be embarrassed how bad it is. It does nothing but hurt families. So anyway, I have to weigh on that one. Are we done with this thing?
Yeah.
Because I kind of want to shift to something else, which kind of has become culture war, usually isn't. And that is the Marine who choked the homeless guy to death on the subway in New York City. That immediately became culture war before we even knew what happened.
Yep.
We had no idea what happened, and it was white guy lynches black guy. That's what it became immediately. Now, that may be true. We don't know. We'll find out, right? Does he have some links to something? Who knows? But we had no idea, and it became that. And the right immediately went to, let's find this guy's background and validate why he should have been killed. And the left went to, this was a lynching. This guy was a racist and couldn't wait to kill a black guy. Neither is, well, it wasn't a lynching. And the lynching part makes me angry personally, because this was not a lynching, and it insults people who actually have family members who were actually lynched. It wasn't a lynching.
Oh boy.
Go ahead, Pepper. Tell me.
This, Larry.
You think this is a lynching?
It absolutely was. I mean, he's a trained Marine on how to do those chokeholds right.
No, he's not.
No
I'm a
reason for him
Marine.
to kill
They don't
him.
train you how to do chokeholds. That's shit the left made up. That's not true. Marines are not trained to do chokeholds. Marines are trained to shoot people and stab people.
Still,
They're not trained to do chokeholds.
When you hold somebody, even if that was made up, when you hold somebody like that for that long and you're choking them out for that long, you can't expect them to not die. And he shit himself, which was a warning and an indicator that he was dying. And somebody said that, and the guy still held on. And not only that
doesn't make it a lynching.
But
a
the guy was
lynching
just
means
hungry. All because the guy was hungry.
Let's be clear.
It's not okay.
I didn't say it was okay. I did not say it was okay.
It was a lynching, Larry.
It was not a lynching. And let me tell you why it wasn't a lynching. This is what a lynching is. Let's go get that black guy. All right, guys, let's go. Let's publicly take him and let's hang him in front of others as a lesson to others. That is a lynching. This was not that. This was not that. This was some guy thinking he was a hero and he killed a guy. That's true. He did kill him.
For sure.
But he may not be a murderer. We don't know if he's a murderer. He's a killer. That's accurate. He's a killer. That's true. Is he a murderer? We don't know yet. And that's my whole point. right? We didn't even know. Look, that we know of now, he's not linked to any far-right extremist or any white supremacy group. And maybe he is, and if we find that out, then that would be white supremacy and such, if that's true. But we don't know that. My point was we immediately made him a racist, a guy who's lynching, and it's Pepper. It's just not true. This is people trying to make him a monster when they didn't even know if he was or not.
I just don't agree with that. I don't think there's any valid reason why you could just kill a man like that.
All right, let me give you an example. What if I was there and that guy does something that I believe he's going to hurt somebody? So I get up and I punch him because I believe he's going to hurt somebody. And I believe that. Now, I could be wrong, but I punch him. And I punch him. He falls down, hits his head, and dies. Am I a murderer? Was that a lynching? No. Did I kill him? Yes. I clearly killed him. I punched him. He fell down. He died. I killed him.
If you didn't have any
make me a
actual
murderer.
reason, if you didn't actually have a reason to validate that he was going to hurt somebody,
yeah, maybe.
that's
What if I
murder.
believed it? What if, as a New York City guy who runs a subway, which I do, I had seen it happen before. I had seen a guy punch a woman before, and I didn't do anything. And now I saw this guy getting up and acting in a similar manner, and I believed it. What if that was true? So because I saw it before, I believed it. Now I punch him.
The justice system will decide, but the justice
that is my point, Pepper. This is why I am correct.
This
is my point.
Okay. But the justice system, we all know, is flawed. Big time.
Agreed.
There are two justice systems in America.
Agreed.
But do I personally believe this guy was a murderer? Yes, I do. Whether our justice system backs that up, I don't know.
But you're also not a city councilman or a congressman who before having any facts said it was a lynching and called him a murderer. Shame on those people who are politicians. They are public servants who basically dissed his right to be innocent to proven guilty. You are correct, Pepper. The justice will decide. Hopefully they'll do it right. They don't always, but hopefully they will. But either way, that man is not a murderer. That man, not yet, he isn't. He is a killer. That's true. He killed the guy. That's accurate. He's a killer.
Yeah.
Is he a murderer?
I don't have a problem with the politicians speaking out about it. I think kudos to them for it.
Boo, that's culture war stuff, Pepper. You're falling into it. You're falling into culture war. It's literally culture war.
I'll chime in.
Culture war.
I'll chime in since I'm in the middle of you guys on the screen.
Go ahead.
Play the part on the argument too. I agree with Larry's point that that people of high authority shouldn't be exaggerating what they don't necessarily know.
100%.
Should they have brought the fact that it happened to the public's attention to like get eyeballs on it and make sure that this didn't get swept under the rug like so many other cases that have happened in New York City?
100%.
Yes, 100%.
Yep.
Should they, like to Larry's point, have gone straight to the like race baiting words that they chose? I don't think so. And I think it's important. There's a couple of facts that are important to note. That A, there were multiple people restraining him, not all of them white.
Yep.
B, this guy has over 45 prior arrests for violent acts, including.
But they didn't know that, though.
They didn't know that.
They didn't know that. Right.
But
so his background isn't fair. Those guys didn't know he had that background.
Well,
that I agree on with you.
My point to his background. My point to his background is not that they knew that going into it somehow, which also, to be fair, is not 100% known. There is a very plausible case that he might have been a witness to one of those other 45 arrests.
It's true, possible.
If that's like his daily commute or something, that there is a chance that he did know about the history there. But you're right, he didn't know that. But very quickly after the fact, the general public knew that. And the fact that the left wants to paint him as a hero, I think is ridiculous.
You mean
also agree.
To paint Neely as a hero.
They did.
think
They literally they were like, he was a loving guy who was a singer and dancer on the
Well,
sub, which is
they're
also true.
I don't think they're painting them as a hero. I think they're celebrating
Literally
his
did.
humanity.
Yeah,
They're celebrating who he was as a human and his
No
doing
way.
his Michael
Literally
Jackson
did.
impersonations.
Yeah,
They
I only
ignored
say
every
hero
bad thing
because
and
I saw
only
that
said
exact
positive.
word multiple times
Yes.
on Twitter from multiple like elected politicians in the state of
Yep.
New York and nationally called him the exact word hero,
Yes.
which I just think like that's not fair to the situation. He's not a hero. Was
but
he possibly an
painting
innocent person?
Penny as a hero is even worse. You know,
I agree. I think people should stay out of stuff like this
Calling
until
him a
we know
hero?
more.
I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that he's raised $2 million for his defense fund, and Little Miss Flint came on making a really valid point. In 4 years, she's raised 600,000, not even 400,000 shy of $1 million in 4 years for Flint, for water, for clean water in Flint. It took a few days to raise $2 million for this guy's defense fund.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But
absurd.
this goes to the power of culture war.
Mm-hmm.
This is the problem that people don't get. And I think most people don't see this. One of the reasons why people jump on a side so much is they feel that the other side hates them. So they hate that side in return.
Mm-hmm.
So the second that people, this is what I think is the point that Dave just brought up. They did make Neely a hero when he's just a guy with mental problems. And sometimes he was wonderful dancing and sometimes he was assaulting people. The guy literally tried to kidnap a 7-year-old. And he was a wonderful dancer. He was a guy who had some serious mental problems. That's reality of who he was. He was a human being who did not deserve to die, who was good and bad as many humans are. But the right immediately responded with what the left did. The left said, he's a hero, and the white guy lynched him. And the right went, no, this guy's the evilest person in the world. He deserved to die. It was, and they're both wrong. They're both wrong.
I don't agree with that. I still lean towards the left. I'm with the left on this one.
I guess we'll find out. I think that when we jumped on board, I think it really made the culture war more. Because here's the worst part. And this is a person who lives in New York City. Then they went down and rioted or protested in the subways. So that now they shut the subways down. Right? Who's in the subways? The working poor and the working class are in the subways. So you made them suffer. The wealthy people were up top in their black cars. They weren't in the subways. So you made those people suffer. And you shut down the subway, use up all these forces, hurt everybody because you want a guy to go to jail. That's the reason. And you think that's justice. No, justice will be a better system to where guys like Neely don't get killed. But that wasn't why they were protesting. They weren't saying, let's protest to fix this problem. They were protesting to put Penny in jail. That's terrible. So of course people are mad at them. I was mad too. I was mad at them. I was like, that's why you're shutting the subway down? To put a guy in jail? How about to fix the system? And why weren't you doing it when the last guy got killed, or the guy before that got killed, or the person before that was taking a dump on the subway, or pushing somebody in the subway, or getting hurt, killed by the cops? There were so many other times when you could have protested for a better system.
I don't disagree with them on the protest.
I had a feeling you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you wouldn't.
Larry, you and I are just going to have to agree to disagree on a few things.
I had a feeling you wouldn't. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree that both sides are attacking the wrong people here. Because like Larry, regardless of how you feel about everything, you're making a good point about the fact that no rich white person was hurt by that subway protest.
None.
Not a single one.
Not one.
And no conservative organization or cause or anything or any really good thing at all was helped by raising that $2 million.
Also
you know,
correct.
to
Yes.
the last conversation, do you know what like the pregnancy care center could do with $2 million?
100%.
We could effectively end abortion, like all unwanted abortions in the county with that kind of money. But they're not doing that. They're donating it to this stuff. So I think like the overall point of the like that you're trying to bring up of the conversation of like our anger as well as our time, energy, and money are being donated to the wrong things, so that we're not actually solving the problem. We're not fixing the system. We're not helping people. We're feeding the culture war more and more and more.
This is my entire point, David. Thank you. You've made the entire show with that right there. That was my point. Where the right is going to drop $2 million on keeping a guy out of jail, and the left is going to shut down the subways to put a guy in jail, instead of shutting the subways down to fix the system and giving $2 million exactly to those pregnancy centers to maybe support some moms so they don't have to get abortions. Mm-hmm. Yes, those are actual problems that could be solved. And we're here yelling, some guys lynching someone, and our city councilmen aren't fixing anything. They're on top of yelling that. And AOC said, no, I'm happy. She said, I wouldn't have be doing my job if I hadn't spoken out. You're not an activist. You're a congressperson. Mm-hmm. Activists speak out. Congress people are supposed to solve problems, and none of them seem to solve any problems. Mm-hmm. That's left and right. I say AOC because she's my congressperson, so that's why I say her. But I don't see any congressperson solving problems. Mm-mm. They're not doing it. They're too busy virtue signaling.
Yeah, Claudia Tenney didn't support any bill that fixed the problem either.
Say it again, Dave.
I said Claudia Tenney didn't have a solution either. That's my congressperson.
Exactly. And it goes, yes, none of them do. That's my point. I know, Pepper, did your congressperson have a solution?
I know the Republican, and that's all I know about my congressperson.
Well, there we go. There we go. You don't have Santos, do you?
No.
Okay, he's not yours. Okay, I didn't know, because I know he's out there.
He's like 5 minutes away. He's like in the next
There we go.
town.
I knew he was out there in your area somewhere. Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, that part drives me nuts. And that, I think, is the biggest problem of the culture war. So then how do we do we compromise or no? I mean, I feel like we had some good conversations here, but I think I feel like compromising to get something done actually hurts you as a representative. Right? I feel like it almost hurts you to compromise. Like, you win by creating more culture war. You don't win by actually trying to solve a problem. Like, where's the bill, or where's the answer, or where's the plan to fix the MTA? There's only one guy I know who can fix the MTA, and you're talking to him right now. I'm the one who had a plan to fix this literally in 2017. And I had a plan to fix the homeless problem last year, 2021. I started that plan. It's on my website. They could just grab it if they want to, but they never do. It's weird how they never grab the plans to fix things that I literally give to anyone to take anywhere they want. And I speak about them all the time, and no one ever does it.
Eric Adams' answer to the homeless crisis is to tear up their encampments.
Mm-hmm. More cops. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a cop.
Adams is a cop.
Pepper, he's a cop.
That guy.
More cops. That's it.
It's been past 10 minutes. I can say fuck that guy now, right?
You can. Yes, you can. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Have you guys seen that video of him back when he was a state senator, where he's like teaching parents how to like search their kids' stuff to find like guns and drugs and things? Oh my gosh, Pepper, if you haven't seen it, you will love it. It is cringy as one of the most cringiest things. It's like a 6-minute long video where he's like, oh, a teddy bear is a perfect place to hide, and like reaches into this like cut open teddy bear and pulls out a revolver and it's like a gun. It's like, it's the wildest shit.
Oh my gosh.
That's my mayor, David. Okay, so why don't you stop making me feel worse?
I have to agree with David. Fuck that guy.
There we go. Yes.
And Governor Hochul as well.
Oh my God. Hochul's the worst. Hochul is the worst. Yes. Roger asks, Pepper, you out here in Long Island, what village? I
don't want to say.
Oh, she's not gonna dox herself. He says he's out in Freeport, Hempstead. That's where he is.
Oh, okay. I'm not that far from that
There we
Probably
go.
20
So she's in your
minutes, 20
area.
minutes away.
So he might be he might DM you and say, hey, he might DM you. You never know. So there we go. Maybe. So yes. Tim says we are in a culture war. That's a fact. There's only one way out, but like people want that. What? There's only one way out, but like people want that win. I'm not sure what you meant by that one, Tim.
I think he's saying people want a win in the culture war.
Oh, gotcha. Yes. There we go. Yes. And this is the part I bring up all the time. We have it right now, a world where people don't see a win as in their life getting better. They see a win as in the other person losing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, see, I beat the Trumpster, I own the lib. Or now I've won because I've owned the lib, or I beat the Trumpster. So now I've won. And you can ask the person, okay, so how'd your life get better? Oh, it didn't. Well, then how'd you win? Well, because we owned the lib, or I beat the Trumpster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People are lacking compassion. That's what I see is we're lacking empathy towards each other and towards actually listening to the other side and hearing where the other person is coming from. Like if you take 5 minutes to listen to someone with different views from you, you might actually kind of understand where they're coming from. I don't agree with abortion, but I may encounter someone who's, pro-life, and maybe they lost a potential sibling, or maybe they lost a child in a miscarriage and they would have done anything to have that child. And it affects them personally when they feel like, people have abortions when they could have had their child and that person is giving up theirs. So if you just take the time to listen and have compassion to where people are coming from, you can kind of get their world. It doesn't mean you have to change your stance, but you can at least show them some compassion for what is going on with them. But that's what the culture war does, is it takes away empathy, compassion, and listening to each other. I think I tweeted something about we need to end tribal politics.
Yes.
We need to end tribalism in politics.
Amen.
Red, blue, green, purple.
The only good color is gold, and that's it. All the rest are bad.
At the end of the day, we're all human. At the end of the day, we're all human.
No, you're right. I'm teasing. Obviously, I'm teasing.
Unless you're elected, then you're a little subhuman. Just
a little bit. That's true. Yes. Yeah. That's my problem. If I actually win an election one day, then I'm in trouble.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna lose so much respect for you.
I know he's gonna hate me all of a sudden. Like, oh, he won. He sucks. I hate that guy. I used to like Larry Sharpe. Then he won. Now he sucks. Yes, absolutely. Dave said it's manslaughter, Larry. Well, that's what they're charging him with, right? They're charging him right now with, I think, second-degree manslaughter. Yeah, I think that's what they're actually charging with. Tim says they're not charging with murder. Yes, but again, to Pepper's point, it doesn't mean it's the right charge.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean that by default. But I get it. That, at least in my view, manslaughter makes sense in my view. I don't believe he was trying to kill him at all. I don't believe that to be true. I don't believe he was trying to. I don't know that. I haven't seen everything, but I believe, here's why I'll say it. And I know some of you will be upset, but I'll tell you why I don't believe it was murder. Because in New York City, for those of you who've lived here, most of us do nothing when bad things happen. We walk away, we walk, because we know that if we do anything, we go to jail. Right? In New York City, you cannot, there's no right to defend yourself in New York City. You may not defend yourself. The Second Amendment doesn't exist. You cannot defend yourself in New York City. You cannot. If you do, you go to jail. That's how it works. Unless you happen to be caught on video and somebody saves you, you go to Rikers Island, the most violent jail in the country. We know this, so we don't do anything. And if you're white, you can't touch a person of color because you go into double jail. So you're going to extra jail. You can't do anything, right? We know this, so we don't. He did something, and two people who weren't white helped him. That makes me believe that he wasn't trying to kill him. Because if he was trying to kill him, this is my view. I have no evidence except what I saw in that video. Those guys would have said, dude, stop. What are you doing? Stop. They would have stopped him. If they were taking action, they would have stopped him. They were taking action, but they were helping him. They were holding the guy down. They weren't saying, dude, stop, don't do this. What are you doing? And I know you're saying, Pepper, that he shot himself, but he probably already smelled bad. They probably couldn't tell. I don't mean to be mean.
Somebody pointed it out. Somebody told them.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm saying who knows? They're holding him. He might have already smelled. They're close. Who knows? When the smell got to the other person, they might already had the smell. Who knows? And that's my point, that from the beginning, we don't know. We don't. And I hate the fact that we jumped on a culture war when we have no idea. Is it possible that he's a member of some clan group and he hates black people or something? I mean, maybe. I don't know that, but that doesn't come out. So why would I assume he's lynching people? It's unfair to him, unfair to us, because, and this is personal to me, I do consulting with defense attorneys. And I have watched more than one innocent person go to jail. You might go, Larry, how do you know they're innocent? I'm on the defense team. They tell me everything. So I know exactly what happened. I know the guilty ones and the non-guilty ones. I know them both, right? So when I go through it, I know. And I've seen people go to jail. And I hate the fact that we're hanging this guy and he may not deserve to be hanged. We don't know yet.
Well, to be fair, he's got a $2 million. We're not really hanging him. He's got a $2 million defense fund already.
Yes, that's true. No, he will,
So
with that kind of money, he will get a fair defense.
He's
He
got
will get a fair defense.
so much white privilege throughout all this, and
This is New York City. What are you talking about?
he's got so much white privilege.
Have you been in a jury in New York City?
No, I have not. I've been
No,
in
no.
a jury in New York.
No. There is not a whole lot of white privilege when you're a white guy accused of killing a black guy in New York City. There's not a whole lot of white privilege in that one. There just isn't. I've seen white guys go to jail. Yes. I've seen Indian guys go to jail, white guys go to jail.
But I'm
black guys
talking
go to
about the
jail.
white privilege for raising the $2 million. Like, his white privilege is encompassing the whole thing.
Oh, you mean him raising the money? That's what you mean. I don't know. It's a good point. Would he have raised? Would the right have still given him money if the left had still called? Here's the point. Would the left have called the black man a lyncher? Let's say it was black. And this is a question. I don't really know. Say that he was black and not white. Would the media have said it was a lynching? Would they have made up every excuse, or would it have been just another death in the subway? I
think the odds are they more likely that they would have called it a lynching. With that said, or they would have at least called it murder. With that said, he would have raised $2 million for a defense fund. That's for sure. There's no way if he was black that he would have raised $2 million for a defense fund.
I think I disagree with you on this one.
I would say if he was accused of being a lyncher, he would have raised that much money. If Larry's right and they didn't make that accusation, I think you're right in the long run, Pepper.
Yes.
Like, because I mean, it's not something that we have to, have a hypothetical conversation about. Like, this is a thing that's happened in the subway before with black on black violence or white on white violence, and it gets swept under the rug. It's only played up if it's different races against each other. Black people beating up Asian people during COVID was hugely talked about, but white people beating up Asian people because they don't like Asian people 10 years prior wasn't talked about at all, because it didn't fit the culture war at the time. It didn't help any narratives at the time. So like, I don't like, multiple cases very similar have happened in the last couple of years. And there was absolutely no media craze about it, except for the right-wing media saying, New York City is a crazy, dangerous place because of all those Democrats. That's the only media coverage any of this violence gets. So I don't think that if he was black, it would have gotten a single shred of media attention, or if the person that had died would have been a white homeless person. Same thing.
So wait a minute, hold on. You think if, hold on, let's swap it. What if the Marine was black and the homeless guy was white? Would that have mattered, do you think?
The right definitely would have ran with it real quick. Well, so the right would have held off for like an hour, and then been like, "Oh my God, see, this isn't being talked about. Black on white violence isn't getting talked about the same way black on white violence." Like they would have held off just a little bit to let the left media not say anything, and then they would have gone batshit crazy on the fact that the left media didn't say anything. And that would have been their entire talking point for 2 months. Even
Yeah,
if MSNBC and CNN started reporting on it, they wouldn't have stopped saying that they weren't. And they just would have ran with that like, because black on white violence is underreported, and that's their talking point. And I mean, I think that is like an objectively true statistic, but it's not nearly the crazy talking point that the right likes to make it.
I don't know. I'm torn on this one. I'm trying to, because in my head, because to your point, Pepper, I think he got the money not because he's white. I think he got the money because the left said he was a lyncher, which may not have happened unless he was white, right? But if it was reversed,
I actually get what you're saying,
right?
You know, his whiteness had something to do with it, for sure. His white privilege.
I will also just throw out there that, like, by legal definition, a lynching has to include some amount of conspiracy prior. Like,
correct.
That is the legal definition. Like, he would have had to have gotten on that subway saying, "I want to kill a black person." And if you're really digging into it, "I want to hurt Jordan Neely." Would have had to have been his thoughts when he entered that subway for it to be legally defined as a lynching.
Could be random. Lynching could be random.
Yeah, it can be.
That's my point. I said we'd have for it to be a lynching. That means he went in going, "I'm gonna get a black guy.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go kill a black guy, and I'm gonna do it publicly, and I'm gonna show the world." That's lynching. What he did was reacting by default, not lynching.
Yeah. And like, I've gone down like Twitter rabbit holes. There's a couple of like accounts out there that post like exclusively like black on white violence, and you know, with that whole like it's being underreported talking point. And you know, I will say they're the only accounts that I see those types of videos from. But like, there's been times where I've just kind of gotten lost in a thread, and just like fight videos are kind of fun to watch sometimes if you're in a bad mood. And you know, if he was doing that while he was taking a dump before he left for the subway, and was just like watching a whole bunch of people get their ass beat, and like actually was getting like really fired up and like, you know what, if I see a motherfucking person try to do anything, I'm gonna, you know, that is possible. And in that case, then yeah, this narrative from the left is accurate, but we don't know that yet. If somehow we find that out, then like, hell yeah, go for it.
Absolutely.
You know.
And that's my point. I'm not saying Neely didn't do it on purpose, whatever. From what I see, he didn't. From what I see, but maybe there is something we're missing. Then let it come out. I think he got the 2 million because of them making him the bad guy and the lyncher, when no matter what, he's not a lyncher, regardless of outcome. He's not a lyncher. Anyway. So yes, let me move on. Josh says wars dehumanize. Josh is correct. Absolutely. That's true. No matter what. Yes. So yeah, Tim says, yes, you got it, Pepper. You knew what he was saying. So yeah, you were right.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you got it right. So yes, you got it right. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So let's see here. Mike says practical progressive is what he called himself on CNN when he won. Adams kicked homeless out to house illegal aliens last week. Yes, that is what Adams did. It's true. Adams was actually bringing in migrants into hotels and moving out some people who were homeless to put in migrants in hotels. He's in a bad spot, and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's not making things better. So yes. Sam says, as someone who was stabbed, I find it despicable when people demonize self-defense. I agree with Sam 100%. I think you should be able to defend yourself no matter what. And I know people get mad at me. They do. I get this all the time with, well, Larry, so if someone's trying to rob you, they deserve the death sentence. If they have a weapon at me, I might die. I don't know. If I kill them, too bad. I honestly believe that. I know people think I'm crazy when I say it, but if you have a weapon on me that I might die and I kill you, you deserve the death sentence because you probably shouldn't have threatened me.
I'm not against self-defense.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm not against self-defense at all. I just don't see how him yelling he's hungry, was self-defense. Like, but anyway, that's over.
Yeah, I get it. Yes.
I think as far as self-defense goes, if you're going to use deadly force, you have to like warn If you give I think they deserve a singular warning. If someone tries to mug you and you have a gun, you pull the gun, you say, leave me alone, or I will shoot you. And if they try to still advance on you or move towards their gun or something like that, then okay, they chose, because the talking point is like, is your stuff worth more than their life? They get to choose that. They're actively saying, my life is worth less than your stuff. I'm willing to wager it to get your stuff here. Then if they make that choice, that's on them. You see a lot of like signs on people's doors that's like, we don't call the cops, and like with like a picture of a rifle on it or something like that. I've door knocked for campaigns for years. I've seen a lot of those. I've been greeted at the door with a rifle while I've door knocked for campaigns on more than one occasion. It's in the dozen-ish area. Most of the time, those conversations end very peacefully because I explain myself. But like, I have definitely had somebody, pull a gun on me and be like, "Get off my property." I'm like, "Okay, bye."
Yes.
And I didn't say I don't think my job is more important than my life, and therefore I didn't walk closer to them. Most of those people had signs up warning me of such, and
yes.
I ignored those because you're supposed to, usually.
Yes. Look, I totally get the idea of not wanting to engage, right? And if someone's in trouble, I do, but we never fix it, right? And I think there's a thing that bothers me, and it's because I live in New York City. New York City bullies you constantly. It just constantly bullies you. You are bullied by anyone in uniform, not just cops, anyone in uniform. If you work for the city, they get to bully you. Doesn't matter who it is, whether they're at the DMV or whether they're a cop or whether they're whatever, they get to bully you if they want to, up to them. And it depends. Not everybody's bad, but they have the option to bully you. You have no recourse. And criminals and people in uniform get to bully you as much as they want in New York City, and you can't do anything. You have to hope on their largesse. You have to hope that the people in uniform are good and don't want to bully you today, and hope that the criminals don't want to bully you today. That wears on people. It just does. And a lot of people pack up and leave. And I get why. But not everybody can afford to leave. Some people have family or jobs or just can't afford, don't have the dollars it costs to pack up and move. And they're stuck here. And that wears on you. And I could see, because I was that guy years ago. When I first came back to the city after the Marine Corps, maybe 20, 30 years ago, I was the guy who said something. When people did something, I was that guy. I learned fast, don't be that guy. I learned fast, don't be that guy. Because I would show up and go, dude, stop, what are you doing? I was that guy. And what happened is the whole train was mad at me for saying something. Like, you can't, I'm like, the guy's pulling his pants down. What's wrong with you all? And they're mad. They would be mad at me. I was like, wow, okay, I'm the bad guy here. I pull your pants down, take a dump, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'm the bad guy. And that happened constantly to me a couple of times. Then people come on trains, start yelling and screaming. I tell them stop. I tell people I was able to tell people to shut their music down. That was me. And they get mad at me. We can't talk. And they're mad at me. So I stopped. I gave up. And I feel bad, but I surrendered because I realized that they don't want me to help them. They don't want me to. And most people who live in New York City understand that. So when someone steps up, I think, why did that person step up? Now, again, I don't know. But did someone step up because they're like, I'm just tired of being bullied. I'm just tired. I'm not going to be bullied today. And I'm just going to put a guy down. And that's wrong. You shouldn't be killing people. That's wrong. But I'm saying I could see someone doing that, which is why, again, I go back to not lynching. It's reacting. And maybe it is manslaughter. That could be true. But it's not lynching. That guy reacted. He did not go, I'm going to go get a guy. Because I know I felt it myself. Again, I'm not killing people. I'm just saying I felt it. And I feel like it just drives people crazy.
I think like
being a rural person, I want how people can maintain their existence in an urban area. Yeah, I do too, Tim. I'm sorry, David. Go ahead.
I just want to say, like, I feel like I gained a fairly unique perspective of the bail reform that went through in New York City in 2019, because I lived in New York City when it happened. And then I took a series of campaign jobs that made me bounce around about 25 different states over the next 2.5 years. And I firmly believe that New York and New York City combined in like between 3 different bills that passed in those like 2-year span, intentionally went way too far on bail reform, to a place that not a single bail reform advocate had ever wanted bail reform to go. There's no reason that, there are multiple violent crimes that are not bail worthy anymore, that, we're just catch and releasing, like, that you literally have, it's attempted murder or worse. That is the only thing that you can have bail set for you, unless you like violate a court order. So they have to like arrest
But they were even letting those people go because of COVID.
Yeah, there was a bunch of that for a while.
They were letting them go. There were guys who literally, they were arrested because they missed their court date.
Mm-hmm.
And then let that guy go. Wait a minute, he clearly won't show up. That's why you arrested him, because he missed his court date. They're like, yeah, let him go. Oh, no, what? Yes, it was terrible.
So I actually disagree on the bail reform. Yeah. I don't want Hochul to cut bail reform. I want her to keep it as it is. And I think that it protects people who can't afford bail, and that's really important.
Well, I don't want Hochul to cut bail reform as far as she wants to cut it. And that's kind of my point. I think they pushed the pendulum too far in one direction so that it would swing back too far in the other direction. And that all the 49 other states that didn't do this nearly as drastically, and a couple of other cities did, but not as many states the way that New York has statewide. And this is what I mean by like I got a unique perspective, being able to jump around all those other states and talk to both Democrats and Republicans and independents and cops and public defenders and DAs and people all over the spectrum on this issue. And a pretty much unanimous consensus amongst the other states that I was in was, we're never going to touch bail reform.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen, because New York went way too far, and even
you feel like it had a
Democrats,
of them not wanting to touch it now, because
even
they're afraid it's going to be as
the point. Now you can't.
Yeah, I was talking to like Democrats in Illinois, a very blue state, that are like Chicago can do it, and a couple of other cities can do it citywide. We're not going to have any kind of a bill that goes anywhere towards bail reform, because it's just not going to happen, because the media outside of New York, left and right, has been demonizing New York as this terrible, dangerous place that you don't want to go.
That's why Hochul's doing what she's doing, David. You're right. That's why she's gone there. Yes, I agree. That's like why. My point is, I had a problem. I could solve this problem. If you remember what I said when it first came out, it's very simple. You focus bail reform on first-time offenders. That takes care of your problem, Pepper. You focus it on first-time offenders. Maybe second time. Maybe. Depends. You can, if it's a lower level crime, maybe second time. First-time offender is your chance to where the person can go, it was a mistake. I was in the wrong place, wrong time, hanging with the bad guys, whatever. Do that. But the problem is, in New York City, there's only several thousand people, I'm not making this up, who do the vast majority of the crimes. There's only several thousand people who do the vast majority of the crimes. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. And those people kept getting let out. Well, if you've been arrested 6 times or 7 times, literally sometimes, for not making your court appearance, why are you getting released? Mm-hmm. Makes no sense. And look, I'm all about criminal justice reform. But if you're constantly making the same mistakes, you are literally a threat to the population. You should be put in prison, put in jail until you get your day in court. Again, first-time offenders, give them a shot. I'm all about second. Look, for those of you who don't know, my mother was a felon. My mother was an addict. I'm all about second chances. I think you should. But my mom got arrested 1 time, right? She got arrested 1 time. Yeah, Focus it on that.
I think it has to do with like how close together the arrests are. If you have an arrest a year ago and then you get arrested again for something, it's not as much of a pattern as it is, even like, there can be a wrong place, wrong time, or false accusations or things like that. Where, if you're getting arrested, let's say once a year, then like, okay, that's not a problem. If you're getting arrested 3 times in a week,
once a year.
I mean, I don't know. I have friends that, and myself at a younger age had a very staggered criminal record with like just maintaining my driver's license. I didn't pay a ticket, and then it turned into a suspension. And then every time a cop pulled me over for a tail light out or something like that, it's an arrest and a misdemeanor, and they're searching my car, and I'm getting booked, and the whole 9 yards. And it would happen about once a year. And for something like that,
but that's not a violent crime. That's not a property crime.
Right.
There's really no victim in that, right? There's no victim in that crime. You're not a menace to society. I'm talking about crimes that have victims. You robbed somebody, you stole something, you hit somebody, you killed somebody, you robbed somebody's house. I mean, there's a victim in that case. Your case, you just being a knucklehead. I
was arrested for a suspended license too.
Yeah, there's no victim in that one.
I mean, I don't believe in driver's licenses as a concept, but that's the anarchist in me. But I don't know. I think that there's that, if you make it about the time frame, and because there's clearly a difference between somebody who's getting arrested every year or two compared to somebody that's getting arrested multiple times in a week.
That happens. Yes, that literally happens in New York. They get arrested 4 times in 1 month. Absolutely happens.
Very hard to make a legitimate case that these people deserve the right to like still be out on the street. If you're getting arrested for assault 3 times in 1 week, which is a thing that has happened more than once, that was like one of the first stories we saw in 2019. Like New York Post ran a story like 3 days after the bail reform went in about this person getting arrested twice in under 24 hours for assault.
I remember that one.
And like if stuff like that's happening, it's very hard. And I am a very like criminal justice system hater.
Me too. I'm
all
with
cops
you,
are
brother.
bastards.
I am totally with you.
Very like I marched with no new jails in 2019 while I was running for city council. I am as far as you can go on that side. It is very, very hard to make a case for that these people that are committing assault more than once in a week deserve to be out on the streets continuing to do that.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, Brian says, David, fight for president. The anarchists getting arrested to free you from driver's licenses. I love you. It's so good.
I'll take it one step further, guys. I'm an abolitionist.
Oh, wow. You're hardcore.
Yeah.
I love it.
So there you go.
I like
You're hardcore. You actually beat us both. Look at that. Okay.
Check out if anybody who's interested in abolition, I'm going to do a self-promote. Check out 10 Demands at 10 Demands on Twitter. They have a solid path to abolition.
There we go. A path that I've always wondered, like, how do you get there? I've always worried that I've always been concerned, like, how do you get to that point?
Yeah, it's not an overnight. It's definitely not an overnight process.
You elect Adam Kokesh, and on day 1, he signs an executive order that says we abolish the federal government.
He would do that. That's true. He would. Absolutely. He would do that. That is true. I miss that guy. Guys, let me take a little bit of admin if I could. Again, if you like what you're hearing, please click that like button. We're trying to get past Mr. Go Rhythm. I'll go Rhythm. Want to get past him, please click the like button if you would. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this. It is the way we get around this. Absolutely. Thank you for the super chat. We got one today. If you get a super chat, bring it to the front. Absolutely. If you want to support the show, you can. Patreon.com/Sharpeway. $10 a month goes a long way to me doing more of this and less of other things that I do. Speaking of other things I do, I'm trying to get ballot access for an independent party here in New York State. If you want to support that, LarrySharpe.com/donate. This is where we're trying to make sure we get ballot access for an actual independent party in New York State. If you care about that, then you should go to LarrySharpe.com/donate. Before we wrap this up, anything you want to say before we wrap this up, David?
Sure. He's been scrolling the Twitter across the bottom, so go follow that. Also, at Fite for Liberty, like FITE, then the number 4, and then tune in to the show. I do usually about a weekly show where I interview somebody that is making the world a freer place, either through politics and activism or business development and personal choices that help them live a freer life. And I try to get actionable advice out of them on how my viewers can do similar things. So this week, Wednesday night, we're doing Gabby Cordova, who is the outreach director for Mike Tremont for president. We're going to talk about what she does for him and how people that like to be behind the scenes can get involved on campaigns too.
I love that. Pepper, anything before you wrap it up?
I just want to say thank you. It's been an honor, having this discussion with you. And I really love that we were able to keep it a civil discussion. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, the entire reason for this type of show was to keep respectful conversations. It does matter tremendously. For everybody else, I will be again on tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the Larry Sharpe Way Radio out of Rochester, New York at 1 p.m. live. If you want to call in, you can. I'll be doing another show with Adele Nazarian this next Wednesday at 7 p.m. talking about how to regulate CBDCs if we do that at all. And also I'll be talking to the bootleg libertarian man himself, Chris Darnell, 3 p.m. on Wednesday. So I have a busy day. And then next weekend, I'm upstate New York, guys. I'm back out there rocking and rolling. I'll be in Chautauqua County, Cattaraugus County, Erie County, Wyoming County, and Livingston County. I'll be out there. Yes, I am totally going on a total Western New York tour. Also Allegheny and Steuben County. All of them this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'll be hosting Talk of the Town for our morning show in Utica this Friday morning. So I'll see you all very soon.